Hello. As usual, I'm gonna be talking a lot, like I just did, because that's what people told me they want to hear. It's perfectly okay for you to put music on in the background. Also, the same warning of like, don't complain about the way my sketchbook is set up. I don't care what you think a sketchbook is for. Go watch the kind of content you want to see, okay? But anyway, let's start. I like it. This was the start of the crocodile tears series. It's in acrylic. It's called It's Not That Deep. And it was kind of about how sometimes you'll be with a person and you love them, but you know they're not your soulmate. Or how you're gonna be with different people, but you're still gonna feel like you're tied to someone else. And I made it pink very deliberately because I don't feel like this is the real line of fate for this person. I feel like this is just the one that looks more pressing. I feel like this is the one that you're giving precedence to over what your real fate is. Maybe you haven't met it, maybe you just aren't giving it enough credit. But basically it's a distraction that distracts you from all your further distractions. So it's just a cycle, and you're gonna be with someone else thinking about this other person, and you're not gonna be with anyone else because you feel like you would be betraying this person. So yeah. Oh god. Also, I feel like we kind of fool ourselves into thinking we're meant to be with people just because we love them. And sometimes we aren't. Sometimes we're just meant to enjoy that and move on. This is a companion piece to that. It's called, what was it called? It had an original title, but I wanted to call it Leash. So, Leash. This is watercolor. This is a drawing of my cousin. His name's Enrique, and I absolutely love him. He's such a genuinely kind, cute boy, and he looks like a giant baby. And he's really interested in like feminine things. I don't know that he wants them for themselves. I think he's just curious, but his dad is really against it. So like, he put on this woman's hat. It was actually tan colored. It wasn't even pink or anything. And everyone was just rushing to take it off him because his dad would be so mad. And he was so happy at the time, you know? So I just wanted to capture that happiness, and I hope to always be the person who allows him to explore whatever he wants to explore without fear of his parents. So yeah, this is a really nice moment of summer for me. I love this one. This is called Pet Daydream. It's kind of about how we get tied up in these daydreams and we kind of stop living the present, but we also kind of stop living the past because we've just kind of relived that so much that it's not really what it was. It's just our idealized version of it. We think about the same places and the same people so much that they just aren't what they used to be. We don't see the flaws. We don't remember how we felt all the time. We just think about that one particular moment where we felt happy, and we miss all the opportunities to feel happy right now, or to really honor the past for what it was and for why it was good, because it had the bad too, you know? So yeah, I really like this. I like how the clouds turned out, and she has this leash right here too, and they're all tied to her hair. I tied it to her hair because I feel like, you know, I love a biblical metaphor, and I just feel like you could cut these ties, you know, you could just live your life, but sometimes it feels like, what if they're the only thing holding you up? What if they're your strength, you know? You could cut your hair, but what if it's the one thing that makes you beautiful to people, you know? What, you could cut these ties, but what if they're the only thing that makes you interesting, the only thing that keeps you hoping for something better? You know, what if looking backwards is your only way to go forwards, you know? I say this a lot to myself. It's just, well, I don't say it anymore because now I'm happy. But I used to say, like, I'll start living in the present when it starts feeling like home. And this is basically it. This is the mood for this. But dude, this painting got really popular on Instagram. Everyone absolutely loved it, and I only did it for like shits and giggles. So yeah, there's a picture. There was a picture of this. It was exactly this picture. So I don't think I can sell it because it's not my photograph and I didn't make any changes to it. So it's not going in my shop probably, sadly. This is present. This is about femininity and how sometimes I wonder if I'm feminine because I am, or if it's just to protect myself from how hard it would be to be me if I tried being masculine, you know? If I tried conforming to what a guy looks like, you know? And I feel like there's always this fear of losing this kind of armor that is my presentation. But at the same time, I'm never really there. I'm just always aware of how hard it is to live in society, and, you know, yeah. I wanted to draw a cover for my favorite book, Neverending Story. Also keeping up with the theme of drawing Moonchild. So this was in gouache. I drew Moonchild and Atreyu, who is actually the main character besides Bastion. And I did a color test for what I wanted him to look like. And this was actually inspired by actual pictures of Brazilian natives and like native children. I think this is a Kayapó kid, but I didn't use the actual paintings. I just kind of made them up. So yeah, draw it. Another sketch to the tattoo I did on my other sketchbook. I don't know which one I'm gonna get, but I really like this one, so probably this. This is my favorite painting. Not my favorite painting, but this is one of my favorites from the sketchbook. It's called If I'm the Anchor, You're the Sea, and I did a couple thumbnails. I was gonna do this because I feel like I never draw anyone smiling, but I really wanted to draw this picture. So I did some tests and I really like how it turned out. I absolutely love it. I love the fish. I love how vibrant the colors are. Pentel watercolors is so fucking good, y'all. The colors are so vibrant. This one's Maquette. It's one of my favorites. It's a lot of people's favorite. It's also part of the Pet Daydream series. It's also about, the whole series is about daydreaming and maladaptive daydreaming. But this is kind of when you're so stuck in that daydream, in that world where life was better, in that moment in time where everything was better, that you just kind of, even that doesn't fulfill you. You're just doing it out of habit. And I put these green lights on it because I feel like you get really jealous of people who live in the present, but also you get really jealous of the person you were back then and what you used to have. So yeah, oh, my colors are showing up great here. Yeah, I absolutely love how the execution turned out. I love this palette. I love her expression, and yeah. I used a lot of this glowing pink to establish that these scenarios take precedence over what you're actually living, and they're not actually red, which would be the color of something really present, something really pressing, like a stop sign or something, because they actually aren't. They're just something you made up as a priority for yourself. They really don't need to be, you know? Dolphins, color pencil. A collage about someone. If you think it's about you, it probably isn't, by the way. Drawing, I wanted to draw some fashion, and I just gotten this brush pen, so this blue brush pen for Inktober, so I just kind of did it. This is called One of These Days, My Nostalgia is Gonna Kill Me, and I've had this concept in my head for a very long time, ever since I still lived in DC, and we went to this park and it had a bunch of trees, and they were all absolutely scratched up with names and hearts and all this stuff. And at the moment I was with some friends, and we were like, oh, do you think these people still like each other? Do you think everything in here lasted? How do you think these people feel about that still? So I just kind of put here all the stuff I felt at some point. This right here was actually transferred directly from one of the trees. I don't know what this symbol means. Like this right here from relationships. This too. This is Brazil. This is an initial, the future, come home as always. So yeah. A drawing I really like of statue, but it got kind of ruined because of the graphite transferred. I tried to fix it as best as I could with the eraser, but at some point it's still kind of granulated. This is the very end of the Crocodile Tears series. Why is this sticking? Okay. Of the Crocodile Tears series, and I don't know. I don't absolutely love it, but I wanted to end it on a positive note where I kind of let my canary fly away and allowed myself to just kind of live for myself and not be tied up to how I used to live or who I used to be or how happy I used to be, rather than focusing on being happy now, you know? This right here, there was some paint here, but I had a pin here and it got stuck, and when I took it out, it took some of the paint with it. But yeah. Oh god. 2 self-portraits. This I ripped out from my other sketchbook, and because I hated it, but then I looked at it again and I loved it. So that's why it's good to keep stuff even if you rip it out. Keep it because maybe you look back on it and you like it or want to use it for something. So I did the self-portrait of mine with my meds, with my allergy meds. I use this a lot. No soda, please sponsor me. So I painted myself with them, and this was from when I just got my nose pierced, and I had to sleep with this because I'd scratch it in my sleep and wake up in terrible pain. Expression studies in color pencil. Oh god, what is this? Oh, it's paranoid. Okay, this is the better version. This is the better version of paranoia. That one I said I liked but didn't. That one I said I hated. Where is it? I can't find it. Okay. This right here is the better version of this one. This is the one with better colors and better execution that I actually took great care of to make. It's just about how you're always paranoid even when you're not paying attention, and you kind of leave that automatically and you can't help it. So yeah. Graphite, No one really cared for this drawing, but I absolutely loved it. I saw the picture of this model with this face, and I was just like, I have to draw it. This model was made for me. I love this kind of angry, petulant face, you know? And so, yeah. Some emo stuff. Moonchild in watercolor. Yes, I made the eyes gold. I made the eyes gold in all of them, I think. Because in the book she's described as golden-eyed, commander of wishes. So, her eyes are gold. Color pencil. That was just how I felt at the time. This one I really like, but I feel like I miscalculated something because I kind of wanted this part to be more on show. But it's okay, I could repaint it later. Could revisit the concept. But this is just kind of how, because I have really bad memory, everything kind of just, every little errand, every little thing people tell me kind of feels like a message in a bottle, and I'm just kind of scurrying to get it, you know? And hold on to it. So yeah. Gouache, landscape. Brian Molko in brush pen and Prismacolor. I was gonna do an acrylic painting of it. Initially I was gonna do color pencil, but then I was gonna do acrylic, and then I did none of those things because I didn't feel like it. Color pencil, I was feeling really dismotivated at the time, and again really caught up in thinking of the could-be's, would-be's. So I just drew this, and it was summer, and I was just kind of uncomfortable because I wasn't doing anything. So this is kind of how I felt. And I remembered how when I was a kid, my grandma always told me to be careful with centipedes because they burned your skin. So this was the mood. I hate this. I hate this. But I wanted to try some stuff, and I did, and I just don't know. I don't really like how this worked out. I wanted to try out the way Amber Mars does the little flicks, and I wanted to do this with something I was comfortable with, and that was band members. But I hadn't drawn Frank in a very long time, so it ended up that I actually wasn't very comfortable with this subject because I wasn't as good as I used to be. I was not as good, but I wasn't as comfortable with my subject, you know. I feel like the eyes turned out to be, something went wrong in the proportions. Every time I look at it, I know something's wrong, but I never tell exactly why. But I kept it because it took me a very long time to finish, and there's a lot of stuff I like about it. I like the colors, I like how the watercolors turned out. Individually, I like almost every aspect of it. I don't know, something didn't feel right. It doesn't feel right about it, so yeah. Please. An experiment with primary color. I actually really regretted not using magenta, cyan, and process yellow. I think it would be more exciting if I used them, but I like this one too. Moonchild and graphite. And here I was looking at all the ways I've drawn her face up until here, so to draw something that I hadn't drawn before. This was a comic I made about how I felt about this boy at the time, and like, I didn't fall out of love with him necessarily. I just kind of loved him in a way that wasn't healthy for me. I loved the idea of him more than I loved him, and I expected things from him that my daydream scenario would do, but not that he wouldn't do it, but that wouldn't be healthy for us to do, and we wouldn't be happy if we did things the way that I imagined myself doing. So I had to kind of, like I said to him at the time, like, just kind of exercise that. So yeah, I wrote this poem, and then I thought about it a lot, so I decided to make a comic. You can pause to read it, by the way. I put top surgery scars on it. It says arrogant boy in the background. This is done in blue lead, which is my baby. I absolutely love it. It's absolutely worth it. I highly recommend getting it. Oh god. This is the last page. I drew Moonchild in acrylic, which is my favorite medium. After the sketchbook, it became my favorite medium. So it felt fitting to finish it with the medium I've discovered and fell in love with on the sketchbook. So I did it in the style of the girl with the earring. So yeah, that's her. I was gonna write take care here, but I didn't. I had a miscalculation, so it actually was too big, so I just erased it. Yeah. This was Moonchild. I hope you enjoyed it. You'll see there's a bunch of sticky notes, like, at the pages, and that's because I found out that because of the memory stuff, I have a really hard time thinking of concepts, and when I don't do them right away, I forget about them, even when they're really good and really promising. So I've taken to writing them down and writing in what medium I want to do them and stuff, and kind of organizing them, because I like my sketchbooks to kind of flow a certain way. I like for it to be like acrylic, watercolor, and then wash, and color, and pencil, and then ink and color pencil. I like to have that variety, and I like to set up my sketchbooks in a way that it flows like that. So sometimes I stop myself from painting something that would be really good, because no, I've had 2 acrylic paintings in a row, so now I need to do something color pencil or something. So I write all my stuff down and I sticky note it to the back of pages so that when the time comes, I can do them. I organize myself like that, and I find it really helpful if you're kind of a control freak like me and you want your sketchbook to look polished the way I like my sketchbooks to look like. I find it stopped me from having the crisis I was having at the beginning of the sketchbook, where I felt like I wasn't letting myself make the art I wanted to make because I just felt like it wasn't good enough, or it didn't belong in that page, you know. This way I can write it down and plan myself out, so like I could skip ahead like 3 pages for when I'm supposed to be doing acrylic again and do it, you know. So yeah, I hope you liked it. Please like it and subscribe it. I heard it's like good for the channel, so do that if you can. Subscribing is good because you'll be notified when I upload. So yeah, thanks for watching. I've been Azul. This has been Moonchild. Bye.